Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Jason Buff. I just got back from Canada the other day, and let me tell you, I'm disappointed. Canada was such a letdown. So the other day, me and my mom, we drove up to the Canadian border. We went to a city called Sault Ste. Marie. It's a weird name. Then on the Michigan side, they also got a city called Sault Ste. Marie, but we didn't go to that one. All right, let me backtrack a bit. Me and my mom planned on going to Canada 4 years ago. That's when we originally planned on going. See, my mom lives in Michigan. Michigan's right next to Canada. So we wanted to go up to Canada and check it out. So we were planning on going there 4 years ago, but then at the last minute, my mom was having problems with her car, and so the trip got canceled. Fast forward, 4 years later, we both got new cars. I got a Camaro, and my mom got some kind of Mazda SUV thing. So she's like, let's drive your Camaro up to Canada. I'm like, fine, okay. We previously drove my Camaro all the way down to Miami. So if we drove it down there, I'm like, fuck it, let's drive it up to Canada. Okay, no problem. So we drive up to the Canadian border. I'm wearing my Chicago Blackhawks headband. I thought it would be funny. Since Canada is a hockey country, I'm wearing a Blackhawks headband. The Blackhawks, they have a rivalry with one of the Canadian teams. So I thought it would be funny rolling up into Canada with the logo of the opposing team. So I reach the border. I'm greeted by a Canadian border patrol guard. He looks just like an American patrol guard. The only difference is he's got a Canadian flag on his uniform. So the first thing he asked me is, what are your plans on going into Canada? What's your purpose? I was like, just visiting. Then after that, he starts asking more serious questions. Are you bringing any guns into Canada? I said, no. Any weapons of any sorts? I said, no. Any drugs? I said, no. Any tobacco? I was like, no. As he's asking me these questions, I remember my mom saying to me, Canada's real strict about letting Americans into Canada. Like, if you're an American and you want to move to Canada, you have to be a college graduate with no criminal record. So, yeah, they only want, educated Americans living in Canada. I thought it was ironic since they let all these other immigrants there from third world countries. They got, a bunch of Indians living up there and all these people from, Caribbean islands moving there. But they're making it tough for us. Like, what the fuck? So anyways, after he asks me all these questions and I answer them, after I pass the test, he says, you may enter. And he raises the gate. So I drive through. And I'm getting excited. My first time going into Canada, I'm thinking it's going to be like Disney World. I think it's going to be like all these happy, jolly people there and shit. So I drive into Canada. As I enter, I drive a few yards into Canada. The first thing I see is a fucking ghetto. Seriously, a fucking ghetto. I'm seeing rundown buildings, potholes in the streets, crackheads and bums walking around. I see thugs sitting on the porch smoking. What the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking serious? I just got grilled at the border for 2 minutes by this serious patrol guard just for this. I'm like, dude, these Canadians are hypocrites. Okay, what is this shit, yo? You trying to keep us out of here. But this place is so raggedy, you should be begging us to come up in here. What the fuck? I see all these lowlifes on the streets. I see a fat dude on a bicycle with his ass crack showing. Dude, pull your shorts up. Nobody wants to see that. Alright, so after a minute of seeing the horrific realities of Canada, after that sinks in, after I get back to my senses, I'm driving through the streets. I'm trying to navigate the streets of Canada. It's like Canada, they got these crazy streets. The streets in Canada are so crazy. They got all these one-way streets. If you miss a turn, you got to go all the way back around. That's your ass. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, in America, if you see a one-way street, like, it'll be like in a residential neighborhood, like on the side streets, like when you're driving to someone's house. In Canada, like, all the big-ass streets are one-way streets, like the boulevards, the avenues, like, excuse me, like a big-ass street like Cicero. In Canada, that would be a one-way street. It's weird. So anyways, after trying to navigate these streets, I pull into a Wendy's parking lot. We try to set up the GPS because we don't know where we're going. It's our first time up here. My mom is like, where you want to go? I was like, let's go to the mall. So we put the GPS on. And it was like the mall was in front of us the whole time. It was like a block down the street. But we didn't know it because we getting lost going through all these fucking one-way streets. All right, so we drive to the mall. We enter the mall. The mall is fucking dead. There's nobody around. Like, it's so dead. You should see tumbleweed blowing by. That's how dead it was. And all the stores they got in there, like half of them are American. The other half are like Canadian stores that you never heard of. But they're basically just like American stores. They just got a different name. Like, instead of Famous Footwear, they got a store called Tootsie's. It's a stupid-ass name for a store. You're going to name a store after some nasty-ass candy. I think that was also the name of a movie, Tootsie, about a dude dressing up like a woman to get a job. I never saw that movie. Okay. So we walk around. There's nothing going on. My mom's hungry, so I was like, all right, let's go to the food court. We go to the food court. And it's packed. Like, what the fuck? It was dead most of the way into the mall, but we get to the food court, it's like all these people around. It's so fucking weird. And then it's like the same thing. It's like they got all these restaurants. They're not American, but they're just like the American restaurants. It's just like a different name on it. There's like this donut shop. It's actually better than Dunkin' Donuts. It's called Tim Hortons. They got good donuts. If you ever seen that movie, Wayne's World, there's a reference to Tim Hortons in that movie. Like, you know, in Wayne's World, Wayne, he's always hanging out at that donut shop with that hockey player on the roof, the statue of the hockey player on the roof. That's a reference to the Tim Hortons donut shop in Canada. All right, so we got some donuts there. And then we went to this pizza place. We walked by a hot dog restaurant, New York style hot dogs, but my mom didn't want that because it's like, we could get that if we was in New York or America. We wanted something else. There wasn't really much to choose from. They had a Subway. Nobody likes Subway. Then we see this pizza place. It's just like the pizza place you see in the food courts in America. What the fuck is the name of that place? Sparrow Pizza. So they got a Sparrow up there, but it's got a different name. It's called Ricardo's. I'm like, what the fuck? How are you going to have a Italian-style pizzeria with a Spanish name? And it's got an Italian flag on it. Like, what the fuck? Dude, if you're going to give a Italian pizzeria a Latin name, you might as well throw in a Mexican pizza. Like, add some Mexican spice to it. Add in some Latin flavor, some Latin spices. How the fuck? I can't get over that. An Italian restaurant with a Latin name. So we got some pizza from there. They only had like 3 slices left because all the fuckers in the food court ate it up already. Like, the pizza was so thick, my mom had to cut it into pieces with a knife and fork. And then they got different knife and forks up there. Like, it's not a spork, it's something else. Like, I can't even describe it. I got to see it again. My mom was eating the pizza with that. Looked like she had chopsticks in her hand. They got weird utensils in Canada. So as we're eating in Canada, we see all these security guards walk by. Like, as I said, you know, that neighborhood is rough, you know, because they had all these lowlifes in there. And they got all these security guards up in here. Like, dude, it must be a lot of crime over there. Like, dude, the security guards, they're all armored up. They're dressed, you know, like, basically they look like a SWAT team without the guns. They don't have no weapons on them, period. They're just like dressed up like SWAT dudes with like a bulletproof vest on and like those knee pads and boots and shit. I'm like, what the fuck are they gonna do? Just stomp somebody to death? You never know. They might be badass. They might not even need weapons. They probably disciplined in the arts of martial arts and shit. You never know. Like those police they got in Canada, the Mounties, they look goofy as fuck with their red coats and hats. But those dudes are badass. They got more jurisdiction than a regular police officer here in America. Like with the Mounties, like if you go up to Canada and break the law, do some goofy shit, like rob somebody or beat somebody up, and then you go back to America. Let's say, oh, you're from Texas, you go up to Canada, steal a car or some shit or sell drugs, then you go back to Texas. Like the Mounties, they'll go down there, hunt you down, beat your ass, and then drag you back to Canada to prosecute you. Like those dudes are no joke. They look goofy, but yeah, they're nothing to fuck with. Alright, so after that, we leave the food court, and like, I'm just pissed off, because I'm so disappointed we're in the fucking hood. This is how they welcome you to Canada. They're acting like it's this marvelous place, but it's just sloppy and run down. So we walk through the rest of the mall, and then it's like, it's ironic they don't want Americans coming up here, but it's like most of their exports, most of the stuff they have is from America. Like we walk past a movie theater, all the movies that are playing there are American movies. Like they didn't have no movies of their own. Like all the shit that was playing at the Canadian theater, it was all like American movies that are currently playing in America, like Barbie and Ninja Turtles, all that shit. Then we go into a record shop. It's a record store. It's similar to FYE. I went in there. I needed to get some new headphones. It's like all the records in there, all the DVDs you got in there are American. I mean, well, it was cool to see a record store anyway. You don't really see those in America anymore. I like FYE. It was a cool store. So yeah, I bought some headphones from there. Then after that, we left. But then another thing, like, you know, when I was in the mall, I saw these chicks. Yo, they were all ugly, bro. Like, in the media, they're always bragging about how hot Canadian chicks are. That's a lie. I didn't see not one hot chick when I was up in Canada. I'm not trying to talk shit about them. I'm not trying to put them down. I'm just being honest. I didn't see no hot chicks while I was up there. It was like, the women up there was like, ugh. They were ugly. I mean, I'd still fuck them. You know, I'm a dude. I got a dick. I'm horny. I don't give a fuck. I'd still fuck them. I'm just saying, they're ugly. There ain't really no hot chicks up there. Alright, so we get in my car, then we drive around some more. We had to go to Walmart to get something. So we go to Walmart. It's a little bit smaller than the one in America. It's like the Canadian Walmart, the roof is a lot lower. Like you notice in America, like the Walmart roof, it's high. Like the ceiling is high up to the sky. Like in Canada, it's more down to reality. The roof is lower. And then we went to the self-checkout. They didn't have no bags anywhere. They're real stingy with the bags over there. I don't know why. I don't know what their problem is. We didn't get a bag. Then we walk out of the Walmart. There's a payphone booth in front of the Walmart. Like, they still got payphones up there. Like, what the fuck? I took a picture inside the pay booth. I thought it was hilarious. And then right next to the Walmart was a Home Depot. And it's got a Canadian flag on top of it. I took a picture in front of that Home Depot. I thought it would be funny because I used to do security at Home Depot. So I took a picture in front of the Canadian Home Depot. It looks just like the American Home Depot. It's just a lot cleaner. There's no stains on the wall. I thought that was weird. Because, you know, Home Depot's like this rusty place. So we get back in my car. We drive around some more. Then I see this vitamin store. It's a supplement store called Popeyes. You know, Popeye the Sailor Man. I thought it was funny because as I passed by this Popeye store, I'm wearing a Popeye t-shirt. I got on this NASA Popeye collab t-shirt. What do you call it? Collaboration. It's a NASA shirt with Popeye on it. It's got Popeye dressed up like an astronaut. So it's like, I'm wearing a Popeye shirt as I pass by this Popeye store. I'm like, I got to turn back around. I got to go to this store. This is like a once in a lifetime thing. So I take a picture in front of the store. Like, the Popeye supplement store, it's got a big ass poster of Popeye. Like, it's like the sign is this big ass picture of Popeye just flexing his muscles. So I take a picture flexing my muscles in front of that. I thought it was hilarious. So I go into the Popeye store. It's just like GNC. It's just a lot cooler. Like, way cooler. It's like the same setup as GNC. I go in there, and then like the clerk asks if I need anything. He wanted to show me all these protein powders they got like, they're charging like $100 for these like gallons of protein powder mix. I'm like, I don't want that shit. I ain't paying all that money just for some fucking protein. I'm like, give me a protein bar, one of these Popeye the Sailor Man supplement water bottle shakers. I'll take that. That's about it. I'm spending about $10 or less in here. That's it. So that was interesting. I'm like, I wish they had that in America. Like, that store is way better than GNC. But it's weird. They got a supplement store called Popeyes. And then they got a Popeyes restaurant over there that was like across the street from there. Like, what the fuck? They got a Popeyes restaurant and a Popeyes store. That's got to be confusing. Hey, where you going? I'm going to Popeyes. What, to eat or to work out? All right. So yeah, I drove through the rough streets of Canada. And then on my way back to America, I got a fucking flat tire because the streets of Canada were so rough. Like, as I got back into Michigan, like the next day, I had to get a new tire that cost me $300. So I'm pissed off about that. Fucking Canada, they should reimburse me for that. They seriously need to repair those streets. Ugh. Yeah, man, Canada, it was a total letdown. It was like the opposite of what I thought it was. You know, it's like, the people there, they're not so friendly. Like, on the news, they make it look like they're happy all the time. They're not. I thought it was going to be like this glamorous place, but it's not. The people, they're not friendly. The chicks, they're not pretty. Yeah. Alright, folks. I gotta go. See you next time on the Jason Buff Podcast. Yo, after everything I saw up in Canada the other day, I don't think I ever want to go back there again. If I do go back to Canada, I'm definitely not going back to funky ass Sault Ste. Marie. Fuck that ugly ass city. If I go back to Canada, I'm going to Montreal or something. Go to the French areas. I assume it's probably different over there since they speak a different language. It'll probably be like a different culture. And I'm definitely not driving in Canada again. I'm not driving on those fucking crazy ass one-way streets. Shit, you better off riding a skateboard up there. For real.